Welcome back to Jack of All Trades, a guidance channel for young men. Today we're going to talk about embrace the suck. That's the topic. That's the saying. I'm doing this on Veterans Day, and whether or not this video gets released on Veterans Day, it'll be on or around Veterans Day. It's an important day for me. I have a lot of family that's in the military, and I'm in the military myself, and it's one of my favorite military sayings. A lot of the stuff that you go through in life, and specifically in the military, there is a lot of it's great being in the military, but there is a lot of suck, and you have to embrace it. And that's kind of what you learn. You learn to kind of grit your teeth and smile at things. And you can see I have this patch here. This is my helmet that I fly with in my helicopter, and I always wear this patch to remind myself, hey, we're going to go through crappy things. We're going to go through things that suck, and the best way to handle that is to embrace it. That's really all you can do. I mean, you kind of have two options when we talk about this. You can wallow in it and, oh, this sucks, woe is me, why is this happening to me? Or you can embrace it. And when I say embrace it, it doesn't mean necessarily accept it or don't try to change it if it's something that you can change. But there's a lot of things that are going to happen to you in life that you can't change. There are a lot of things that you're going to have to go through that are going to suck. And when that happens, you can whine about it and you can be negative. Or you can accept that, all right, this is something I'm going to have to go through. Maybe I can find something to be grateful for. Maybe I can just grit my teeth and get through it. Maybe I can be the strong person for everybody else who needs somebody else to be strong for them. So there's a lot of options there, and that's all kind of embracing the suck. So accept failure, enjoy it even, embrace the suck, for the suck is part of the process, and it is part of the process, and it's just part of life. It's part of something that you're going to have to go through as a person, and so my message today is try to embrace the suck. Try to embody this message when you go through these difficult things, and it can really change how it impacts you. Wisdom comes alone through suffering, and so if you don't suffer, if you don't go through these sucky times, you gain no wisdom, you gain no perspective, you gain no life experience. And what I'll say is, everyone goes through suffering. So when you're going through something and you're thinking, this is awful, why do I have to go through this? Everybody has things that they go through. Whether you're rich, poor, doesn't matter your race, doesn't matter your religion, doesn't matter your sex, you're going to go through suffering. And that's always going to happen. And that's how you gain that wisdom. That's how you gain that perspective. And it's just a uniquely human thing that this is what you're going to go through. And again, so now we want to embrace it. Knowing that it's coming, knowing we're going to have to go through it, we might as well embrace it. We might as well grit our teeth, smile when we can, find something to be grateful for, and find a way to be strong for other people. Man cannot remake himself without suffering, for he is both the marble and the sculptor. And I really like that. Hey, you are the marble, but you're also the sculptor. You're the one who decides what gets made, how you make yourself. You get to control that whole process. There's several sayings that talk to this. I guess my favorite one would be that, you can't make a good sailor in calm seas. You need those rough seas. You need those storms. You need, those difficult times to become a good sailor. And I think that's true for becoming a good person, becoming a good man, is you have to go through suffering. It's going to happen. And then it's how do you handle it? How do you, do you man up and manage this and be strong and say, okay, well, this is awful, but I can get through it. Or even if it's not awful, just say, this is uncomfortable. This is something I don't want to do, but I'm going to have to do it. I'm going to have to go through this. So then you get to choose how you behave during this. And that's, some of my best friends in the military are the guys. I mean, they're so fun to be around because you'll be going through something. And this happened a lot. I went to a military academy. There's a lot of things at a military academy that kind of suck. I mean, it's great. It's a great place to be from. While you're there, you're just going through a lot. And a lot of my friends were the guys who you'd be going through something terrible, and a lot of times I'd kind of like start to get my head down, and then they'd crack a joke, or they'd say something funny, or they'd just be silly, and that it would change the whole mood. You can have a room full of 10 people, and everybody's got their head down because, man, we got this crazy thing going on, and this really sucks. And then somebody cracks a joke or lightens the mood or shows that hey, just because this stinks, we don't have to be down. We don't have to be negative, and we don't have to feel sorry for ourselves. And it would change the mood of the entire room and change the whole experience. And we get through something that sucked, and we laugh about it afterwards. Instead of looking back and being like, oh, that was awful, we'd look back and say, hey, that was kind of fun. That was something that, the experience wasn't something I'd want to do again, but it was funny. We made it through it together. And that's embracing the suck. Pick up your damn suffering and bear it. Try to be a good person so you don't make it worse. Jordan Peterson, so he's 12 Rules for Life is a great book. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. And he has a lot of really good quotes on kind of suffering and this mentality. And his point is, hey, life is going to, I think he says life is suffering, but it's definitely going to have suffering in it. That is a guarantee. So pick it up, bear it, and try to be a good person. I mean, that's great advice. And I think if you do that, you'll realize you can bear more than you think, and you can still be a good person along the process. Character cannot be developed in ease and quiet. Only through experience of trial and suffering can the soul be strengthened, ambition inspired, and success achieved. And that's 100% true. You will not become the person that you're meant to be. You will not become the person that you could be if you never experience any difficulty. You are going to experience difficulty. You're going to experience suffering. You're going to have things that suck. And that's how your soul is strengthened and how you become inspired and achieve success, is that you realize we can get through that. 2020 is a perfect example. 2020, in a lot of ways, has sucked, right? There's been a lot of bad things. You got coronavirus and murder hornets, and there's been riots, and there's just been a lot of crazy stuff going on. But through that, we've learned how strong we are. You know, there's a lot of people who going into it, if you told them all the things that's going to happen, they would have really dreaded it. Now, coming out of it, there's a lot of people who hopefully realize, hey, I'm strong enough to get through this stuff, and maybe even be grateful for it. Like for me, I've been home a lot instead of at work. I've been teleworking. And I could wallow in, oh, this sucks. I'm not at work. I'm trying to teach my kids school while I'm also trying to work. This has been really tough, and it has been tough. But the flip side of that is I've gotten to see my kids a lot. I've gotten to really enjoy watching my kids grow up and see them in a way that I'll probably never be able to again. So in that regard, it's kind of been a blessing. And so, look for those ways. Look for a way to turn what is potentially a negative thing into a positive. Find a way to embrace that negative situation and embrace the suck and grit your teeth and smile and say, we're going to get through this, and potentially even I'm going to find a way to turn this into a positive. Bad stuff happens. Sometimes it makes no sense at all. Sometimes it's unfair. Sometimes it just plain sucks. Bad stuff happens sometimes. Always remember that. But remember that you have to move on somehow. You just pick your head up and stare at something beautiful like the sky or the ocean, and you move the hell on. And that's some of that tough love right there. Hey, bad stuff is going to happen. This is kind of what I tell my kids all the time. You're going to go through tough times. You're going to have people who don't like you. You're going to run into difficult people. You're going to fail a test. You're going to, your girlfriend's going to break up with you. You're going to go through bad things. You're going to have a death in the family. Bad things are going to happen. You're going to go through that. And it happens to everyone. You are not unique. You will go through it just like everyone else will. Pick your head up. Find something to be grateful for. Find a way to be strong. Be the strong person for everybody else in the room. Find a way to do that. You can do it. You really can. And move on. And I'm not saying, if you have, this super negative thing, just act like it never happened. But you do have to pick up, and you do have to continue your life, and you do have to try to find the beauty in life. Try to find a thing to be positive about. When all seems negative, find something to be positive about. Find a way to be positive. And even if that's helping other people, a lot of times, giving back or charity or caring for others is a really good way to kind of get yourself out of your own funk. The purpose of life is finding the largest burden that you can bear and bearing it. Another really good Jordan Peterson quote. And I try to think about that a lot when I'm going through a difficult time is, hey, this is maybe part of my purpose in life is to go through this suffering, is to go through this burden and to be able to bear it. And if it doesn't make sense to you now, maybe it will down the road. And think about that. Hey, I'm going through this horrible thing and it's awful. And why do I have to go through this? Well, who knows? In 10 years, you may be able to help somebody else who's going through that situation, who's maybe not as strong as you. Maybe somebody else goes through that and you can be the person that they can lean on. And you can say, hey, look, I went through a similar thing 10 years ago and it was awful, but here's what I did to help get through it. And I'm here for you. I can, you can talk to me, we can talk about it. And maybe that's exactly what that person needs to get through it. So, maybe that's part of your purpose in life is to go through that so you can help others at a later time. Marcus Aurelius, I really love this quote and I think about it a lot, is ask yourself, why is this so unbearable? Why can't I endure it? And you'll be embarrassed to answer. And I think if you're going through something and you really think it's awful and it really sucks, and you try to think, man, why is this too much for me? the answers are not pretty. The answers are, I'm not strong enough, I'm weak, I'm soft, I just can't handle it, I'm not mentally or emotionally or physically capable. Those are all really embarrassing answers. And every time I'm going through something and I start to get really down on myself, I'll ask myself that, hey, why is this so unbearable? Why can't I handle this? And when I start to really try to answer it honestly, I realize, oh man, those answers are really bad. And honestly, it makes me kind of stiffen my spine and grit my teeth and say, you know what? I am strong enough to get through this. I am tough enough to handle this situation. And so that's a really good quote, maybe something that you can lean on in the future to help you get through a tough situation. Life is amazing. Even when it sucks, it is amazing. And we should be grateful for every moment. And this is to try to gain some of that perspective. And some of my best friends, the guys who I said, can make a funny joke in the worst of times. That's kind of their mentalities. They're always able to, hey, this sucks now. We're going to get through it. I know this is brutal or this is awful, but hey, think about this one funny aspect of it. Or they find a way to be grateful. They find a way to provide some levity. And no matter what is going in life, you should always be kind of trying to search for that. And it will change your perspective on what you're going through. If you're going through a terrible thing, you're going through, a breakup, a death, bad situation at work, losing your job, there is a way to find something to be grateful about and search for that thing. And when you find it, latch onto it. Latch onto that thing. Hey, I'm really glad I lost my job, but I'm really glad I gained that experience. It really helped me fill out my resume, and it's going to really help me in this next job that I step into. It's going to help give me some perspective. It's going to help me land maybe a better job. There is a way to, instead of dwelling on the negative, to dwell on the positive. And a super simple example of this is I always used to try to get my kids into this when I took them to daycare. Me and my wife both work, so we got to take our kids to daycare. And, there's a certain age range in there where there's a lot of crying and, hey, I don't want to go. I want to stay with you. And it's heartbreaking. And what I would always try and tell my kids is, hey, let's not focus on the negative. Let's not focus on the fact that you're going to go to daycare and that we don't get to spend a lot of the day together. Let's focus on the fact that you get to go play with your friends. Let's just change our perspective. It doesn't change what's about to happen. It just changes how you're looking at it. So now let's think about, oh man, I get to go play with my friends. This is going to be fun. And in this exact same situation, now you can kind of be happy about it. You find something to be grateful about. And that's a simple example, but I think that can apply to a lot of things that we go through. Life sucks, but you have the option to sit there and cry about it, or you can simply move on and become stronger. And you do become stronger as you go through these situations. I think you'll look back in life as you go through things and things that, as it was coming or as you were staring at, this difficult situation coming your way where you thought, oh man, it's going to be brutal. I don't know how I'm going to do this. But you get through it and look back and think about those things and look back and think about, man, that was a really tough situation and I got through it and I'm stronger for it and I'm still standing. And that's an incredible thing. And it provides you, I think, some perspective and gives you a little bit of confidence that, hey, I can get through these tough situations. And that helps you, I think, embrace that, embrace the suck mentality. I normally end with a Bible verse. I found this and I'm going to substitute it today. Our Heavenly Father understands our disappointment, suffering, pain, fear, and doubt. He is always there to encourage our hearts and help us understand that He's sufficient for all our needs. When I accept this as an absolute truth in my life, I found that my worrying stopped. And I try to embody that as well. That's a tough one because it's I hate to say it, it's easy sometimes for me at least to get busy and forget about that. But praying about things can help you immensely. It can really relieve the burden of a lot of the suffering or the terrible situation that you're going through because He is sufficient for your needs and He can help you get through that. He can provide that strength that you potentially need. Thanks for listening. I just want to reiterate, to the veterans, if you're watching this and you happen to be a veteran, thanks for your service. You're an absolute hero and we 100% appreciate it. I have a lot of veterans in my family all the way back to the Revolutionary War. My personal hero is my dad. He was in the Air Force for 38 years, did a lot of sacrificing for his country, and it was amazing to kind of see and to, as I grew up, to really understand what he went through and how much sacrifice he really did in those 38 years. So if you're a veteran, thank you for your service, and try to embrace the suck. Everybody watching, try to embody this mentality when you're going through something difficult. I think even just thinking about this, oh man, embrace the suck when you go through a bad situation. It kind of makes you smile a little bit, and it hopefully changes your perspectives and gives you, a way of getting through a bad situation. So, thanks for listening. Please like, share, and subscribe. We're ticking up in subscribers, and I really appreciate that. Share this video with as many people as you can, and let me know what you think. I'd love to see some comments. Thanks.